Hey, I'm Tiernan with Queerty, and I'm really excited to be joined today by author Adam Sass, whose latest YA book, Your Lonely Nights Are Over, hits shelves September 12th. Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Tiernan. Thank you for having me.
First things first, can you give us the breakdown? Tell us all about Your Lonely Nights Are Over.
Your Lonely Nights Are Over is it's a teen slasher. It's set in modern day, but it's really a throwback to those '90s teen slashers, those Dimension films, ones we all loved. And it is Scream meets Mean Girls, and it is about these two. We follow two queer best friends, Deary and Cole, and they are sort of the queen bees of their high school. They're not a couple. Don't call them a couple, but they're kind of like they do everything together, and everybody gets confused. But so they're kind of like hated by everybody, kind of like the Plastics. There's a little bit of a like they're popular, but everybody has like a lot of opinions about what they're up to. They're not really in relationships. They have a lot of casual sex, and the other people in the larger queer club that are in the high school who are more softer queers have a lot of different warring opinions about Deary and Cole. Everyone's obsessed with them, so there's a big war between Deary and Cole and this queer club. And so into that happens a slasher starts attacking the queer club. The slasher is named Mr. Sandman, and he is a slasher from the '70s. Like think the Zodiac Killer. They never caught him. He's been gone for decades. But then just as this streaming service is doing a new docu-series about it, and everybody's talking about it, everyone's talking about Mr. Sandman, similar killings start to happen, but it's really focused on the kids in queer club. And so Mr. Sandman's MO is he kills lonely people. If you have been dumped, if you're chronically single, if you are pining after somebody you can't have, somehow Mr. Sandman seems to know, and you're next. So when kids in the queer club start to get the chop, Deary and Cole get blamed because they believe like, oh, Deary and Cole hate everybody in this queer club, and they're so mean and cruel to everybody. It's got to be them. And so Deary and Cole end up starting to get framed for these slasher slayings. And so that's where the story begins, where Deary and Cole are sort of like very annoyed they have to solve this mystery because otherwise they're going to prison, or if not prison, they're going to be on the chopping block next.
So the main characters, they're inseparable best friends, like you said, and you
Yeah.
write in the author's note that this is an ode to gay friendship. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about that? Why was that important to you to explore
Sure.
here?
My previous book was a rom-com, and I think a lot of gay media right now obviously is very like romance heavy. It's a lot of like they're in love and they're inseparable and they're this and that. And I feel like while that's great, and I think everybody should have these love stories, I wanted to tell a story that was about something that was very important to me, which is um queer friendship. I think can be just as important, if not more important sometimes, than a romance you might have. Whether you want to be in a romance or not, or if you really want to be in a romance, there's still your friends are still important. And I found a lot of my queer friendships I have a lot of love for, and there can be a lot of intimacy there that can sometimes be confused as romance in larger straight society. But I think the way we kind of relate to each other sometimes there can be a closeness there. That I find really beautiful, and I really wanted to express that because Deary and Cole are not a couple, and even though they hook up like every once in a while and it's fine, they still are just really good friends, and they're very devoted to each other, and they're kind of the most important relationship I've ever written.
So you mentioned your last book being a rom-com. That makes me curious, what is
Yes.
it for you about horror, especially queer horror in a YA lens that entices you in that corner of storytelling?
I think in rom-coms, things can feel life and death. They just aren't. Um, and in this, we're still talking about relationships. We're still talking about that intensity you feel because Mr. Sandman is killing people based off of what he thinks they're lonely. So that is what I kind of play with in this is this feeling of, you know, everybody at some point in your life, you've looked at somebody and go, oh, they're so lonely. They must be so lonely. You don't necessarily know that. They could be like super happy being by themselves. So that's something where we get into what really is loneliness. Are you lonely all the time? Is that sort of your life? Or is it just like you have a few lonely times, but then other people kind of put that expectation on you because you're not married or you're not with somebody, or you got divorced, but like you got divorced, but you've never been happier, you know? And I think what I really wanted to play with there is how people can really put all that garbage on you, and a lot of projecting. And so I think how that connects to rom-coms is like that's kind of, you know, it's, you're sort of seeing the inverse of that. You're seeing like, here's this rom-com, and in the rom-com, oh, they're two cuties and it's so important that they're together and it's life and death. But then what I'm wanting to do in this one is just rip that apart and be like, it's actually probably not the most important thing in the world, and don't like lose your head over it. With Your Lonely Nights Are Over, it's the most favorite book I've done so far. It is the most fun I have ever had writing something. This is something where I'm like so happy that queer horror is on the rise, especially in teen literature. And this is the book I've always wanted to be making. Like ever, like I mean, like I was like 10 watching Scream. Probably shouldn't have, but like whatever. And so this is like sort of like the Scream I've been wanting to make for like a really, really long time. And so like I got to do like all of it. I got to do like the killer mask reveal moment. Like this is just like, if you're having a Scream hangover and you really like a lot of like queer, nasty, snippy dialogue, this is like absolutely the one for you this Halloween season.
I was reading the acknowledgments earlier, and there's a really interesting story sort of about how this book came to be and when you were writing Surrender Your Sons or On Submission. Can you tell us a little bit about the origin story of this?
Totally. So Your Lonely Nights Are Over was originally called Deary, and that's the name of one of the kids. And so and it changed because I changed it to Your Lonely Nights Are Over because it's a spookier title. And the story became much more a dual POV. Originally, it was just from Deary's point of view. And then as I did it, Cole was just such a spitfire character. He's really like a Gale Weathers meets Cordelia from Buffy. Like, it's just a character like mean, hot, always right, tells it like it is, and everyone hates them, but like they are correct in the end. It just became this like undeniable. He just became this like undeniable force, and I had to like write his POV. Your Lonely Nights Are Over came about because like I needed to like escape this really, you know, it can mess you up kind of time. And it came about because I wanted to just play. I was like, I just want to do something really fun where the characters are fun. Nobody's conflicted about their identity. They're not under homophobic attack or transphobic attack. Like, we're just going to have these queer kids just be in trouble, but like but not about their identity. So that was kind of the really, really fun part about this, is writing this sort of group of 10 queer kids, all different identities, all different grudges with each other, and kind of make this little Agatha Christie sort of and no one trusts each other thing, but it's a queer community.
Your Lonely Nights Are Over is out everywhere September 12th, just in time for Halloween spooky season. Adam, thank you so much for joining us, and see you later.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more from us at Queerty, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.